Chelsea have been known for their ridiculous transfer strategy over the last 3 seasons under Todd Boehly and have spent over £1 billion. But something they're not given credit for is their signing of young talent and bringing up players through the youth academy. So today we are doing a Chelsea youth only rebuild where we are also able to sign under 18s just like Chelsea have done in real life with the likes of Esteval and Kendrick Payers. So welcome to the Chelsea Youth Academy rebuild. Now, if you have never seen one of my youth only rebuilds before, you won't know that I am going to clear out every single player that is at Chelsea that is not homegrown at club. So the likes of Cole Palmer will be leaving, Nick Jackson, Fofana, Enzo Fernandez, Fofana, Badiashile, Gusto, Kukurea, Jorgensen, Mudryk, Nkunku, Caicedo. Even the players that are trained in nation, like Palmer, Dewsbury Hall, Ben Chilwell, Robert Sanchez, Madueke, are all leaving the club. And based on this current Chelsea first team, we'll be left with Trevor Chalobah, Reece James, Armando Broja, and Levi Colwill. Which means we've got to bring up all of our youth academy talent. And luckily, as mentioned, Chelsea have signed a lot of players under the age of 18 before, so they are able to be homegrown at club until the age of 21, which is exactly what we're going to be doing throughout this rebuild as well. The signing of Aaron Anselminho was a fantastic one from Boca Juniors. He can play centre-back or central defence midfield and looks very good on FM. David Washington is a very good striker, signed from Santos. And of course, Mark I think his name is spelt, as we signed him from Barcelona, looks like a really good striker for us, and again will be homegrown at club due to the age he joined. Now there is also some really good Chelsea talent that they have in real life through their actual academy. We have the 4.5-star potential striker Shamir Mweka, who looks absolutely fantastic at just 17 years of age. I'm going to look to make Mweka the star striker of Chelsea throughout this rebuild, and the rebuild doesn't end until we win the Champions League with Chelsea using only the youth. So it is going to be very difficult. Now, Shamir Mweka is either-footed, which is outrageously good. He is 17. He is 6 foot tall, decent speed, good determination, which is important to start off with. Decent finishing, but a slight lack in composure. So it could take him a few years to become our star striker. Currently, apparently the 12th best in the squad, something to certainly improve on, but a brilliant start. We also, of course, have our captain in Reece James. It's just a shame his hamstrings are made out of literal paper. And one of the other star players at the club is Armando Broja, but to be honest, I think I'm going to look to move away from him, even though he is technically homegrown at the club. I'd like to potentially bring forward Mark Yu, David Washington, and Shamir Mweka more. Now, I have gone ahead and made a 3-back system for this Chelsea side that we are going to be using throughout the most of this rebuild. I'm going to switch to a 4-2-3-1 if we need to towards the end. In goal, we do have Lucas Bergstrom, who is absolutely perfect for a Football Manager rebuild. 19 area reach, 20 jumping reach. If you don't know, this is the most overpowered look for a goalkeeper you can get on the game. Sadly, he's inconsistent, which isn't going to help, but I'm hoping him just being an absolute man mounted at 6'8" and catching everything and being ridiculously tall is going to help us massively. Our back three is currently made up of Alfie Gilchrist at right centre-back, Levi Colwill at left centre-back, an outrageous centre-back in real life that I am so happy to have her at the club. And Bashir Humphreys in the middle of the centre-back trio, looking very good. On the left, we have Dylan Williams, who has been out on loan at clubs like West Brom recently, but is actually a really good player on FM. Decent crossing and dribbling for his age, with good physicals and 18 determination. While he's not amazing, he is going to certainly be helpful for us, with Reece James needing to be the key player in this team on the right-hand side. In DM, we do have Aaron Anselminho and Trevor Chalobah, making a real compact 5 of Colwill, Humphreys, Gilchrist, Chalobah and Anselminho, making it very difficult for teams to come through the middle. We then move on to 2 absolute superstars that Chelsea have signed in real life. Number 1 is Ecuadorian left winger Kendrick Payers, signed from Independiente de Vial in Ecuador, and he is outrageous on FM. He has the slight shame of being inconsistent, but his physicals are great, his flair is great, and technically a really talented player. At just 17 years of age, he is going to be an absolute superstar. as is the Brazilian wonder kid. Estevão signed from Palmeiras, came through the academy with the likes of Endrick and Luis Guilherme, and potentially is the most talented out of the three. Again, has that slight inconsistency to him, but again, really good physicals, great flair, great technicals, and 11 determination, so he should grow at a very decent level, especially playing Premier League football at 17 years of age. Now, I have got it, so Mark Yu is going to be our striker for this first season, but in terms of the backups, we do have a lot of strong players as well. Mike Penders is the backup goalkeeper. Josh Ashampong, a fantastic young right-handed centre-back, is also at the club. Murray Campbell, Rich Delise, Leo Castledine, Keanu Dyer, Amogu, Isaiah Samuel Smith is a really good young left wing-back as well, potentially going to play more than Dylan Williams. Really talented player, good crossing, determination, and physicals as well. We also have Daniel McAnally, Jimmy J Morgan, who is so good on FM, and I don't really know much about him, I've got to say. Really good player though, really well rounded, great physicals, good mentals at his age, and good technicals. So gonna see a lot of him this rebuild as well. And of course, David Washington, who again is a great striker and really fits FM. 14 finishing, 14 composure is outrageous at 18 years of age, 13 determination, and really good physical stats for his age. Now, we do have a lot of young players here who are going to play games in the under-21s. Wondering how the outgoings have gone? Very well. We have raised £406 million there and £109 million there. In terms of players left at the club, there is a few. I am offering them out. I am hiring to intermediaries. I'm taking loan deals. I'm taking anything I can get to remove these from the squad. It just does take time. Now, I'm starting this in the 24-25 campaign, and we simulated last season for Chelsea, and this is how the Premier League table turned out. Chelsea finishing down in 9th place, an absolute stinker of a second half of the season, which it looks like it could be in real life for them as well, but managing to win the Carabao Cup, securing us Europa Conference League football, which I think is potentially where Chelsea are going to be in real life, not winning a cup, but getting Europa Conference League or Europa League football. So I think it's quite a realistic as to the starting point of next season. So it's going to be interesting to see how we can do in Europa Conference League football and in Premier League football, because we are now predicted to finish in the top 10, and it's a struggle with this team. There is actually a player in this team which I haven't mentioned just yet, and that is Amari Kellyman, coming in from Aston Villa. Looks absolutely fantastic, and really excited to see what he can do as well. Can play in behind the striker, as the striker, or on either wing. So another player which will certainly get a lot of game time in this Chelsea youth-only rebuild. Get in the comments down below, how many seasons is it going to take to turn this Chelsea side, plus signing any under-18s players that I can get my hands on, to turn them into an absolute powerhouse and win the Champions League? My guess, I would say between 10 and 15 seasons. I don't often go above 15 seasons, especially when we're at a club like Chelsea, whose youth academy is really good. 5-star youth facilities, 4-star youth recruitment, 5-star training facilities. We should develop players really well. I can't see this taking more than 10 seasons, actually, looking at it now. Let me know your comments down below. How long do you think it's going to take? Let's get into season 1. In this first season as Chelsea manager, I was massively surprised. Shamir Mweka broke his way into the first team and became our starting striker. You can see him there scoring a pretty outrageous goal from the edge of the box to make it 1-0. We're going to see a second coming from that man, Jimmy J Morgan. This, by the way, is against Partizan in the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League, before grabbing a third and sending us to the final as Reece James whips it in. In the end, Washington heading home, and we were going to the final, when we were facing German giants Borussia Dortmund. Now remember, we are using our youth-only team, and we do go 1-0 down thanks to Alfie Gilchrist. But we are going to level this game up as Murray Campbell finds Reece James down the right-hand side. A great maraudering run, finding Jimmy J Morgan once again in the box to make it 1-1. Sending the game to penalties. Dortmund scored their first as Borgstrom is sent the wrong way. Jimmy J Morgan scored our first, but eventually we missed. Alfie Gilchrist didn't have the greatest day. Scored his own goal and missed his penalty, which eventually made Borussia Dortmund champions of the Europa Conference League, but a pretty decent run for our first season. Now, the FA Cup is, of course, a trophy I'm looking to win in this rebuild, but in this first season, we were knocked out by Manchester City in the 4th round. only 1-0 though, which is pretty impressive. Also in the Carabao Cup, stopped by eventual winners Liverpool in a 3-0 defeat. But again, pretty happy with how things have gone. And while things did start on a very rough foot with the youth-only team, in fact, not winning a game in our first 4, things certainly turned around. On the 14th of September, we beat Liverpool at Stamford Bridge 3-1 with goals to Trevor Chalobah, Kempi and Jimmy Turanian. We beat Bournemouth 1-0 in the next game, and after losing to Brentford, went 3 games unbeaten and actually picked up some pretty decent form until we hit December, where it was again a little bit ropey. But overall, that first half of the season form gave me lots of confidence for the rest of this rebuild, because the team actually is not that far off being a top half team. Well, actually, it's better than that. We finished in 7th place, securing Europa Conference League football once again in season number 1, which is fantastic. 16 wins, 9 draws, 13 losses. A negative 3 goal difference isn't fantastic, but we have done pretty damn well. And I can't really tell you why. The team in terms of star ratings, we have 3 superstars: Colville, Reece James and Trevor Chalobah. And after that, it is just wonder kids who have performed very well, it's got to be said. Someone like Reece James grabbed a 7.13, but the next best was Aaron Anselminho, a 6.99, and progressing at a really high level, which is fantastic to see. Because of the 5-star training facilities and youth facilities, our players are going to grow so fast. And what I'm going to do is when we get to the end of this rebuild, I'm going to go through all the stars of the rebuild and check out their potential, their graphs of how much their attributes have grown. So if you are interested in seeing that and seeing how the Chelsea Youth Academy players really develop, wait till the end of the video for that one, because they are going to come up and I'm going to show you how the likes of Shamir Mweka develops into a Champions League winning striker, hopefully, in a Chelsea team. Lucas Bergstrom in goal, very decent, 6.94. While most of his stats don't look great, as I mentioned, the 2 things you want to look at: area reach, jumping reach. He's dominant in both and has actually grown to 20 in both and is fantastic for us. Someone else really good, Landon Eminialo, who I've got no idea who this geezer is, played in DM for us, has got great determination, good physicals, okay technical stats, more good defensively. Played 23 games, dropped to 6.93, so very impressive. Jimmy was decent. Amari Kellyman was fairly good as well. Aisha Samuel Smith in that left wing back role, as mentioned, I thought he would play a bit more. 7 assists and a 6.8 average rating. Very good season for him in his first season in professional football. David Washington was okay. 9 goals in 9 games and 2 assists, 30 off the bench. Very high potential, growing a lot, but didn't stand out. And the same's got to be said for Kenji Payes, dropping a 6.75, and Esteval dropping a 6.69. But Shamira Mweka was the main star for this team and for the first season of this rebuild. Now, I actually went against what I said. About half through the season, I noticed Washington wasn't scoring too many goals. I noticed Mark Yu was useless on FM, so if you are using that guy, don't. He's rubbish, apparently. So Shamir Mweka, after 27 games, ended up getting locked in to our striker position, and he progressed really well. Scored 12 goals in 39 games and got 3 assists. Did only get a 6.7 average rating, but we can see his growth already is really good. And I am looking forward, because this guy in real life is really good. And I'm hoping we can make him an England starting striker and a Champions League winner with this Chelsea side. Now that is season 1 in the books, and I'm not going to make any signings for this first season. We are simply going to simulate the next season. I do just want to show you though the finances at Chelsea now. We have £400 million in the bank and no debt on the club. We do have some transfer debt, of course, but no net debt. So once that transfer debt is done, which it will be very, very soon, we're going to be stupidly rich. I mean, already £543 million transfer budget and a 2.93 wage budget. If I wanted to, I could have £692 million to spend and still some wage budget left, which is absolutely mental. Now, this Chelsea rebuild is going to get more crazy with finances as we go through. If you guys are a Patreon member, join it down below. 2,000 members we have just hit over there, so a massive thank you to the legends over there. And of course, some of them are paid members as well, and then paid members get access to every single rebuild file that we create here on the channel. There is about 55 to 60 members that are paid members, and they get access to these rebuild files and these obviously pretty very good tactics. So if you do want to get yourself that and help support me massively, it is the #1 place. Patreon link down below. And of course, you're going to get a Chelsea rebuild at the end. Probably £1 billion to spend. But if we are going to get to that level as a team, well, there is £1 billion in the bank. We need to lift some trophies. And at our second attempt of winning the Europa Conference League, Jimmy Turanian scores once again to make it 1-0 here against Roma before Esteval cuts it off that left-hand side and puts it in the top corner for 2-0. And Chelsea are Europa Conference League winners, and it is a fantastic start to this rebuild. And while last season was a bit of a stinker for Esteval, this season was completely different and turned into a dominating winger. And the same can be said for Mr. Kempi as well. Now, of course, more of an assist man, but he was also brilliant this year. And finally, onto our starboy striker, Shamira Mweka, this season grabbed 18 goals for us and was absolutely fantastic. The team as a whole has developed massively in terms of its overall star rating, which is great to see. But our league performance this season fell off a cliff. We finished down in 13th place. 13 wins, 7 draws, 18 losses, and a -8 goal difference on just 46 points. So not even that close to European football. 8 points away. Obviously well clear of the drop, but that is quite a fall off this season for us, and not something I really expected. Again, considering how much the team has actually grown. If we are to pick this by the best 11 that we have got and remove Armando Broja, because we want to see our guy up there in Shamira Mweka, we look pretty strong. Bergstrom is growing at a pretty good rate, with Anselminho now dropping in to the centre-back positions with Colville and Alfie Gilchrist, who, by the way, is a super centre-back this year. Dylan Williams at left wing-back has grown at a really good rate as well, and Emanalo, who we touched on last season, is now our DM partner of Trevor Chalobah, with Reece James at right wing back, who has been absolutely brilliant and not being injured that much, which is great. Kendry Payers on the left is progressing so well and is now a technically absolutely gifted player. And Esteval on the right, 16 finishing, 15 composure, great flair, great speed, is also doing bits. With Big Shamira up top, who again, developing so well. Just a pretty poor season, which is a shame, but it does happen. Now, what that's made me do is I'm going to go into the transfer budget. I'm going to go and look to bring in some young players under the age of 18 so they can become homegrown at club, just like the likes of Kendry Payers and Esteval. I'm going to see if I can find some stars to bring to this Chelsea side. Now, I don't want to do this too much because I do want to progress a lot of the Chelsea youngsters they have in real life, but I have found Thiago Martinez from Defensa y Justicia in Argentina, who looks outrageously good as a central defensive midfielder, and I think it's a position we need improving in. A bit more playmakering ability, which is exactly what this guy brings. I think we've missed that. I think having that strong base of 5 with the 3 centre-backs and the 2 defensive DMs has potentially hurt our ability to go forward and score goals. So this guy is a technical wizard, great determination, good physical stats, just 5'6", so a nippy little player, a bit like a Kante with more ball playing ability. And, well, I say less defensive. He's pretty good defensively as well. At just 18 years of age, he's cost us £8 million, but an absolute superstar. And our only other signing is a regen called Henry Drake coming in from Arsenal. I thought it was fun to go and poach an Arsenal wonder kid. Also a midfielder, £1 million, 4.5 star potential. We might not become anything, but if he does, we've poached a star from Arsenal, and that is always fun. Now, I'm going to leave it there in terms of signing players. As I mentioned, I don't want to go crazy on bringing too many players into the club that aren't from the Chelsea Youth Academy system. I'm going to probably sim now the next 5 seasons. Don't worry, I'm going to come back to you every single season and do a breakdown of how the years went. But I'm going to leave this team as it is, and I want to see how well it progresses. I want to see Alfie Gilchrist potentially break into the England team and become a superstar here at Chelsea. I want to see Anselminho do the same at Argentina. I want to see if Dylan Williams at left wing back, or if it's going to be Samuel Smith. I want to see which one breaks through for us. I want to see Payers and Esteval, of course, to turn superstars. And of course, Shamira Mweka become an England striker would be great. He does now have 2 caps for the under-21s, so it is potentially on the cards. But let's see how this season goes for Europa League football, Premier League football, and of course, the cup competitions. Now, our league form this season started really, really well. In fact, in our first 6 games, we lost just 1, won 4, and drew 1. But for the rest of 2026, it was an absolutely dire season. 2 months without a single win, and it was looking like the season was going to be pretty much written off. But like a light switch, our form completely turned around for the second half of the season. We were unbeaten in January, lost to Newcastle but beat Leeds in the month of February, 1-2, drawn 2, lost 1 in March, 1-2, drawn 1, lost 1 in April, and 1-2 and lost just 1 in the final month of the season. And actually made us so close to getting into European football once again, which is something which so far in this rebuild we haven't been without. We've had the Conference League twice, the Europa League this season, which we obviously haven't won, but nearly 4 seasons in a row, just using Youth Only got us Europe. Now, we did actually come very close to getting into European football once again, and we got all the way to the final of the Carabao Cup, where sadly we faced up against Arsenal, who beat us 3-0 in the end. And as for the Europa League, we actually had a pretty decent league phase, finishing in 13th place with 4 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses and a positive 9 goal difference. And we actually absolutely battered Dynamo Zagreb in the knockout playoff round as well. The opening goal coming from Aaron Anselminho, and throughout the tie, we're just the massively stronger side. We won this game 5-1 on aggregate and set up a round of 16 against Porto. And at the Estadio de Drogo, gave them a massive game. And I say that, we actually battered them. Martinez, our brand new defensive midfield signing, bursting into the box to grab a goal in just 2 minutes, and also grabbing a second as Kendry Paez finds Anselminho to find Armando Broja to break through to make it 2-0. But it was all a little too late, as we actually lost 3-0 at Stamford Bridge and lost the game 3-2 on aggregate, despite these massively dominating stats. At Stamford Bridge, we just absolutely crumbled. Porto only had 2 shots in this game. We had 18, but couldn't quite get the tie over the line. So not a bad season, but not a great one, and that's for sure. We did also not lock in Shabir Mweka for this season to give Jimmy J Morgan a chance, and he absolutely took it. 18 goals and 4 assists in 39 games is outrageously good. At 21 years of age, Jimmy J Morgan looks like a real talent, now 6 under 21 caps, and could be the guy we're looking at to lead our line for the future. We are, of course, not looking in Mweka, but if he becomes the star, he becomes the star. We need to make it natural, and Jimmy J Morgan has got his chance, and he's doing a very good job at taking it. Armando Broja as well, actually, he is up for sale, and I have got it so offers are accepted for him, but did grab 16 goals in 36 games this season, while Shabir Mweka grabbed just 7 in 10. Now, he is obviously developing still. He is just now 20 years of age. He is either-footed and really good, so I'm not worried about his development in the slightest. He will get there. Esteval and Paez slightly dropped off this season compared to last year. Esteval grabbed 14 goals, Paez grabbed 10 but 14 assists. This season, both of them dropping off to just 7 apiece. Chalobah, really good player. Thiago Martinez, our new signing, a 7 average rating and developing really well. If you are using an updated database of new wonder kids, look at Thiago Martinez from Defensa y Justicia. He is a fantastic player. Lando Emenalo doing really well with a 7.01, and a wonder kid coming through, a regen, Jason Debenham Fitzgerald. What a name that is, and what a striker this guy could be as well. Inconsistent, which is a shame, but really good stats on him and looks really good. 22 goals in 27 games in the under-21s as well. Really impressive from him. In terms of the regions that have come through the academy, we've also got this guy, Victor Boateng, who is 17 years of age and looks outrageous. Like, outrageous. This guy can play DM, cam, or left wing and looks fantastic. I can't tell what position he's going to settle into. He's either going to be a very attacking DM or, for us in this system, a left winger. But this guy really is an absolute star and might go on to become our best player. Jordan Graham is a centre-back that looks pretty decent, as well does Mike Lyons. And finally, in goal, our potential new goalkeeper, once Lucas Bergstrom gets replaced, is probably going to be this guy, Stuart Hamilton, a Scottish keeper who has 18 determination, good area reach, good jump and reach, 6'3", and looks like an absolute demon with 18 determination. So excited to see what this guy could bring. We could have a new keeper on the cards, which is one of the hardest things to progress when you're doing a youth academy rebuild. So great to see that coming through. And overall, just the academy here doing absolute wonders. So many 4.5 star, 5-star potential players coming through, which is great to see. Let's see though how they progress over the next 12 months. Now, this season was our first season without having European football, and I think it shows. 2 losses in August, but unbeaten throughout September, October, and November, and in December only losing to Spurs, Liverpool and Fulham, while beating Aston Villa 4-0, drawing to Brentford and battering Leicester. It was safe to say the development of this team has come on leaps and bounds. In January, we were nearly unbeaten despite the loss to Everton. February, unbeaten. In March, unwinning? That's not the word, but didn't win a game. And then for April, a pretty good finish as well in May. The team has come on a lot, and actually our best season by far without European football, finishing in 6th place and getting Europa League football off our own backs while winning no competitions, 21 wins, 9 draws, 8 losses, a 25 goal difference. The Chelsea youth only is paying off. Lucas Bergstrom, joint top of the clean sheets charts. Reece James, clear out top on his own in the assist charts. In terms of goals, we're only down in 7th place, but conceded, we are really good defensively. And that's because our defence is just super, super strong. We're looking at Murray Campbell now coming into being one of the best centre-backs at the club. He looks really, really good. Developed into a top player. Great leadership on him as well. Levi Colville, of course, an outrageous left-sided centre-back. And Aaron Anselminho actually looks worse than Murray Campbell, which is crazy how much this guy's developed. So really cool to see that trusting the youth has brought us this. Dylan Williams on left wing back doing great, and of course big Reece James at right wing back. Chalobah as a defensive DM doing great, and Martinez, I did mention I think we needed this guy and he is proving that. Esteval on the right, absolutely superb, and Paez on the left the same. And our striker, if sorted by the best 11, is still Jimmy J Morgan. This season though, just 5 goals in 35 games. So maybe not the lethal bagsman we thought we were getting. And I'm not sure it's going to be Shamir and Waker either, as he's only scored 2 goals and he played 3 games and got 12 off the bench. Since I've not logged him into the team, the game hasn't played him nearly as much, which is a slight shame, but I'm still trusting development. 5-star potential, he could still be our go-to guy. Now, goals this season were hard to come by. Brozier is still at the club, only playing 15, but grabbed 11 goals, which is good to see. But overall, goals are just coming from pretty much everywhere else. I mean, Reece James grabbed 16 assists, which is outrageous. I'm not even seeing 16 goals here, but he's done really well in terms of the assists, which is good to see. And the Wonder Kid farm is just ridiculous here at Chelsea. Jordan Graham is unreal. Jason Debenham Fitzgerald, unreal. Victor Boateng, 8 games at the bench this season, developing really well. Shamira, though, still there as one of our best wonder kids. So don't give up on Shamira. I'm not giving up on him. Don't give up on Shamira. And the under-18s going through are going to be very good. There is still a few players to sell, but just Vega, Aradbayo, Chukwuemeka, and Leo Cardozo left to sell. Once they're done, everyone is gone. The outs have been mental every single season, raised over £600 million. And financially, we're pretty rich. £650 million in the bank is nice to see, even without European football this season. And now transfer budget wise, just too much. Can we have £1 billion? Oh, nearly. We're going to get to £1 billion soon. We're going to get there. It's not going to be long. £838 million to spend, which is stupendously good. And obviously now our salary per annum that we're spending has dropped massively. We are down in 11th place at 117 million. 4 times less nearly than Manchester City, and are a middle of the pack Premier League club in what we are spending on salary. Obviously, youth players are asking for a bit more, and we sort of have to give it to them because without them, we haven't got a team and we can't sign anyone. But being 11th place is really good for us financially. But being back in European football murdered us this season. We finished down in 13th place, 43 points, 11 wins, 10 draws, 17 losses. Round of 16 in the Europa League and no wins in the Cup. And I've got to say, I think the issue we've got currently is our squad depth. Now, we've got a decent starting lineup, but it's nowhere near Champions League level. But the squad depth is really hurting us, and there's nothing we can do about it except from believe and take the time. So 2029, an absolute stinker. And 2030, even without the European football, an absolute stinker. This Chelsea team's finished, I'm telling you. Goal scoring is such an issue. Shamir Mawaker has turned into our starting striker, but scored just 8 goals in 25 games. I need him to do more. I don't know if I need to change the formation to do more, but I don't want to shift from this 5 back, and I don't want to go mental on signings either. So I'm a bit struggling on what to do. Development players, we are developing lots of wonder kids. Swale Charles, Nweke, Mohammed. I mean, Charles, could he be our striker? Potentially, but he's inconsistent, which is a shame. Our star players, I mean, it's the same list, isn't it? Stuart Hamilton, who has now become our starting goalkeeper and actually looks outrageously good. Hold up a minute. Stuart Hamilton, what a player we have on our hands. The Scottish #1 now, worth £40 million. What a player. What a keeper to bring through. My God. So hopefully as he gets better and older and more experienced, we should concede less, I suppose. Victor Boateng is becoming a good player for us. 24 games for us and developing so well. I think part of the issue is not having the right system for him, which is tempting me to move into a 4-2-3-1. But again, I don't do that just yet. I want to believe in this system. Esteval, 11 goal contributions. 31 games. Come on, pal. You're Brazilian international now. You need to be doing better than that. I don't know what it is. We're just on the cusp, but not quite doing enough. And Kempi Paez is dropping off a little bit as well. And Boateng potentially going to replace him as the left winger, which is weird to see because this guy normally turns into an outrageous talent on FM. But not quite, well, he looks great, don't get me wrong, but not quite breaking the barrier that I maybe thought he would do. And a 6.55 this season. That is disgustingly bad. So potentially need to move on from maybe a few of our star wonder kids. But 12th place and a mid-table mediocrity is not what I envisioned to be in 2030. I said 10 seasons for this, didn't I? We are now on season number 7, I think, or even 6, and it's not going very well. And well, I'm not sure this is going to change anytime soon, as it's another 12th place season while being rubbish in the cups. And Chelsea are a mid-table Premier League side. Maybe we do need the money. We need the finances. We need to sign players. We are now at a point where we have £773 million in the bank. And yeah, we could have £1 billion transfer budget and a £1.9 million wage budget. So the board are screaming at me to go and spend lots of money. So as mentioned, if you want to pick the save up on Patreon and you want to go wild on signings and do what you want in 2031. I mean, quite literally, you could bring in anyone. I mean, I'm going to guess this is going to be ridiculous. Well, actually, it's not that ridiculous. The reputation of not being a Champions League squad has killed Chelsea's reputation. So the best player we could probably go and get is Thomas Suslov from Southampton. So we can't even really spend all of our money, which is a bit of a shame. Not that I'm going to, of course. This is a youth-only rebuild. For anyone that wants to pick this up on Patreon, you have £1 billion. You can build whatever team you want. You can go and pick up the best wonder kid in the game, Fabio Lopez. Oh my God, what I would do to have this guy as our attacking left wing back. My God, is he absolutely fantastic. But another season of not a lot. Jimmy J Morgan and Shamira doing decent between them. 26 goals. Shamira now definitely becoming more of a starting striker and more what I wanted to see from him. I need a bit more. Jimmy J Morgan doing also very well, which is good to see. Really good to see that them two, being through the Chelsea Academy, are doing really, really well. Esteval and Kendry need more from them. Thiago Martinez has done well. Ishe Samuel-Smith has become our attacking left wing back and has solidified that role as his own, which is awesome to see, but just not progressing. Really, really weird. I would expect this team to be at a much better level by now, but sadly not. And partly down to the fact we're not producing as many wonder kids as possibly we were meant to at the start. So let's see. I'm going to do another season in this godforsaken 5-back tactic, and I might then move into a 4-2-3-1. And well, finally, we are back in European football, and a pretty decent season as well. 19 wins, 5 draws, 14 losses gets us Europa League football and 7th place. Still no cup competitions on the win. All we've won so far is a Conference League, I believe. But as we can see from the league positions this season, we may have cracked it. Yes, I moved into the 4-2-3-1 half through the season because we were absolutely stinking up the gaff in that 5-back, and it helped massively. I mean, we can see from the schedule, this second half, from December onwards, much better than this awful start we had, and I decided to move away from the 5-back. So maybe we are now going to turn into a top side. Esteval got a lot more at that right wing position. In fact, 32 goal contributions, which is really, really good. Mweka, 17 goals in 23. Even Kempi Paez done a little bit better. Dylan Williams still doing really well with 11 assists. And is Reece James anywhere to be seen? No, he's not. He left us in 2028 and I didn't even realise. Do you know where he went? He went to Arsenal. Reece! After your 16 assist season, you fell off the face of the earth. 6.93, 6.82, 6.85, and now at PSG, he sold his soul. Reece James, that is absolutely disgusting. But being in this system does open up a room for one of our star players. It is, of course, Boateng, who is now going to become an unreal cam, and you can see from his stats he was already developing into that player. Esteval as that attacking inside forward doing much better, and Payers on the left, Mweka up top. Emenyalo really impressed me, still in that DM role with Martinez next to him as well, as a Volante getting forward and being really good. Centre-back wise, Samuel Smith moves into a centre-back while Dylan Williams goes to left-back. Chalobah and Murray Campbell making up the back four with Stuart Hamilton in goal. We are blessed. We have found a wonder kid come through our academy who is this good. Very, very happy with that, which is really good. Development Centre, not a lot going through, which is a real shame. And we've only really got Moussa Traore, who was an out-and-out 5-star. A few others in here, but not great. But finally, back now. In the end of season 7, this is, I've looked at the save files, end of season 7, back into Europa League football. And now I think is a chance to keep growing. We're going to use this 4-2-3-1 and see how far it can take us. Well, this fixture list shows exactly what building a youth-only team can be about. We can win the 3 games in a row and then lose 7-2 and lose a bunch throughout the rest of December. Now the team is quite inconsistent, which is a bit of an issue, and there's not a lot we can do about it, but a pretty decent end to this season is exactly what we needed. And it wasn't just the Premier League that we were consistent in. We actually done fantastic in the Europa League as well, coming second to only Leeds in the Europa League phase. In the round of 16, we quite easily got past RSC Anderlecht, and the quarterfinals got past Lille. In the semi-finals, we faced up against Leeds United, the team who were on top and we were in second, and beat them 3-2 on aggregate, setting up a final against Galatasaray. And we started the game exactly how we needed to. A Galatasaray mistake and a goal from Shamira Mweka in just 6 minutes. But Galatasaray were no pushover. They were a strong physical side, which our youth-only side did struggle against. Ennis scored an absolute screamer from Rage to make the game 1-1. But one thing you do get with youth only is players through the academy that are willing to die for the badge. Jimmy J Morgan found Amaldo, who eventually found in the box Esteval to score to make it 2-1. And we won the Europa League, meaning next season is Champions League football. A pretty fantastic season from us here. A 2-1 victory in the Europa League final. And we coupled that with a fantastic season in the Prem as well. 62 points, 19 wins, 14 losses. And you saw from our form at the back end of the season, we seem to have really hit our stride in this 4-2-3-1. And the confidence really kicked on from this team when we won the Carabao Cup. It's a trophy that when you win it in February, you have March, April, May and June left to go. And if you do well, you're absolutely cooking. It was 2-0 in a matter of minutes as Mweka scored the second in this game. Samuel Smith then down the left-hand side, whipped the ball in to the box, low and hard for David Boateng to put into the top corner. And we did grab a fourth. And this isn't Coventry. This is Manchester City, who we have just absolutely dispatched with 4 goals in a Carabao Cup final. So 2 trophies and a much better season for a bunch of our players. Shamira Mweka, 27 goals in 49 games. Esteval, 19 goal contributions. Victor Boateng with 26 and Jimmy J Morgan with 21. Someone who has really impressed me throughout this whole rebuild, Landon Emenyalo, someone I've never seen before, but obviously got the chance due to doing this in youth only mode, and he was really good. 21 goal contributions from DM, and Amari Kellyman this season also has stepped up to be a really, really influential player. 12 goal contributions, and I think giving him that cam role as an option, he could be a superstar for us in the next couple of years. So great to see him as well. Thiago Martinez, 11 goal contributions, 7 caps for Argentina now. Again, if you guys are looking for a DM to use in your saves, this guy is absolutely fantastic. And overall, just a very, very good season. Our actual best player who played a bunch of games was Ishay Samuel Smith in that left wing back role with that high crossing, that good pace, a good determination, decision making. He is a perfect wing-back on attack, and does exactly what it says on the tin. A fantastic start to this season number 9, 2 trophies, and securing Champions League football. Now, what I am going to do this season is I'm going to buy some new Wonder Kids. I feel like it's time to give you guys some new players to use in this save. So we are signing in Tabang Lishaba, who is a South African central midfielder from Sundown, signed for just £825,000. He is joining the club in the next couple of days after his work permit is done, and is a fantastic player. I have to mention as well, we found all these Wonder Kids from my known scouting methods of going through and picking up youth appearances and international youth appearances for under 18s. Obviously sticking this to homegrown only. You can do it up to 21. There is a specific video on how to do this on the channel, how to scout hidden regions. It is an absolutely broken transfer method, which I did use for this season. We also signed Fawzi Bouzid from Rangers, who looks like a very good central midfielder with high potential from Algeria. Takashito Koga is a high potential Japanese centre-back signed from Yokohama. We brought in Jan Nicholas Blau, who is a central defensive midfielder who looks brilliant, signed from Schalke with 5-star potential. We signed Anian Ilyanov, who is a Bulgarian winger signed from Union Berlin. And that is potentially it. That is it. We spent £30 million throughout this whole entire rebuild. Of course, bringing in Kempi and Esteval, and then Drake and Martinez. So about £100 million spent on Wonder Kids. As I said, in this rebuild, you guys are going to have £1 billion to spend over on Patreon and 500k a week to spend on wage budget. That is simply incredible. We have got some more seasons to go because we need to win the Champions League and the Premier League. Can we do it here in season number 10? And wow, we kicked off this season in fantastic form, winning 5 of our first 6 games before falling to a defeat against Manchester City, but in them first 6 games beating the likes of Aston Villa, Newcastle and Arsenal. We beat Charlton and Leeds in October before having a fairly ropey November. 1 win and 3 losses. But December was fantastic. We put 4 past Liverpool, 4 past Forest, and went unbeaten for the rest of the month. And if you thought the first half of the season was good, well, the second half was just as good. Nearly an unbeaten January before an unbeaten February, and then lose 5-1 to Spurs and 1-0 to Manchester United. There is a genuine chance, though, that we could be lifting the Premier League title as we lose in April, draw to Liverpool and draw to West Ham, but the rest of the games to finish out this season were all victories. Now, the team we are competing with is an Arsenal, managed by Ange Postecoglou. But even Big Ange couldn't get Arsenal to be Premier League champions. That is only something that I can do with the Chelsea youth-only side. This Arsenal team is absolutely fantastic, by the way. They've got some absolute star players in there. In classic Arsenal fashion, brought Rodri from Manchester City. Now at how old? Like 40? 37. Still an absolute baller. Nets, Saliba, Zabani, Munoz, Diego Calai, Martinelli and Saka still on the wings as well, but couldn't quite pip us the league because we were fantastic. Now, we had some players this season which surprised me massively. I did not believe Shumira Maweka had a 30-goal season in him. But here he is with 2 assists, 30 goals in 48 games, showing he is an out-and-out bagsman. Amari Kellyman, what a season. 22 goals, 17 assists. What? That is outrageously good. Can play up front, can play in all 3 attacking midfielder roles. What a player this guy can develop into. Victor Boateng, 35 goal contributions. Esteval with 24 as well. Jimmy J. Morgan, unbelievable. 3.5-star player. Again, just didn't believe this sort of guy would turn into this absolute star, and he was great. Harrison Murray Campbell, I've never heard of him in real life. I don't keep up to date on Chelsea young players. Look at how good this guy is. His defensive stats are a little bit lackluster, but mentally he is outrageous and physically so good as well, while being consistent. What a player, and young and English as well. Nikolai Donaldson is a young player that's come through at 23 in DM, a true dictator in defensive midfielder. Kenji Paez did fall off, which was sad. Lando Emanialo was really good, 10 goal contributions. Musa Traore, another one through the academy that has done so well. Thiago Martinez has done fantastic. Eshe Samuel Smith has done brilliant. Dylan Williams has done brilliant as well. And our goalkeeper, our legend, Stuart Hamilton, the Scottishman in goal, has been brilliant. But there is a trophy we still need to win, and that is the Champions League. And I tell you what, if our league phase form is anything to go by, we've got a pretty good chance. In the 6th place in the league phase where we finished, so we are going straight to the round of 16. But we faced up against Liverpool and beat them 5-4 on aggregate, thanks to goals from Amari Kellyman, Martin Dix and Irshay Samuel-Smith. Before facing Manchester City in the quarterfinals, a team that we've just battered in the Premier League and beat them 4-1 on aggregate. So to be fair, the draw has been quite nice to us. We've played against City and Liverpool, 2 teams we know we can beat thanks to our league form. But up next was the mighty Barcelona. And it's a pretty strong Barcelona side, I'll be honest, but Jimmy J Morgan didn't care. He was absolutely fantastic. Now, one thing I will say is this is a Barcelona side with our man Cole Palmer in the team, which is heartbreaking, and he scored and celebrated against us in the semi-finals, which is absolutely outrageous, but we are going to grab another in this game, and it's that man, Jimmy J Morgan, once again bagging a brace. And we had to go to the new camp to see if we could hold on, but Lamine Yamal had different ideas. It was level in the tie before a corner ball was eventually finished home as David Boateng finds Donaldson to fire one in to the back of the net. But Barcelona was similar to us. They never gave up, and Cole Palmer whipped it in for Pedri to knock it down to the Ranville to make it a penalty shootout between Barcelona and Chelsea. The coldest man in the building stepped up and scored. David Boateng stepped up and scored, but Barcelona, their star boy Pedri missed, which was the catalyst to send us to the Champions League final as we win on penalties. And who else are we matching up against? Another English side, Arsenal, the team that pushed us all the way in the league. And I could not have written this better, as it was our star man, who we stuck with from day one, Shamira Mweka, who scored in 2 minutes to give us the 1-0 lead, and scored in the 90th minute to grab a second in this Champions League final, where he helped lead Chelsea to Champions League winners. Arsenal did grab a goal in the 94th minute, but it was too little, too late, and it was all done. Chelsea were Champions League winners with a youth-only team. Now, this rebuild has been 10 seasons long, so anyone that commented down below looking to see how long this sort of rebuild would take, 10 seasons, clearing out everyone that isn't homegrown at the club and bringing in youth academy stars. Now, I'm going to talk through a bunch of players and how they progress, so stick around because you are going to see some ridiculous progression from some of these superstars. Shamira Mweka, all-time. Look at this guy. Mentally unreal progression. Great physical stats as well. Finishing up to 14, dribbling up to 13. Really, really impressive. Lost his free kick taking ability for some reason, but mentally grown a lot, which is the main thing for strikers do. So really good to see that from him. Amari Kellyman is another one that I certainly want to touch on because he has grown unbelievably, which is good if it actually shows it properly. There you go. Technically already a very talented player, but mentally and physically has grown so much. 17 anticipation in that cam role for an attacking midfielder is so important. He can get on the ball, he knows when to play passes, and is just a really strong player for us. Esteval was pretty good throughout the rebuild, but maybe not as influential in the team as I maybe expected. I was looking for him to do maybe a little bit more. Again, mentally grew a lot, technically grew ones and a lot of stats, but also some 4s and 5s. I mean, dribbling, free kick taking, marking. So he's like a right back now. I tell you what, this guy would make an incredible right wing back. With 13 marking, 9 tackling, 11 heading, this crossing, this dribbling, these unreal physicals, this guy would make an unbelievable right wing back. So if you are going to pick this save up as a right wing back, this guy would actually be fantastic. I mean, let me just show you guys. As a wing back on attack, where is wing back? Am I blind? It's down here. This guy, oh my God, he absolutely cooks. Yeah, this guy would be unbelievable. In a 5-back system, Esteval, right wing back on attack. Jimmy J Morgan, another one who has been incredibly impressive. A whole bunch of progression from him. 7 in off the ball, becoming a true advanced forward, increasing that pace to 16 as well. You got Harrison Murray Campbell, as mentioned, really impressed with him. He has been really, really good. Sadly, actually, a few technical stats have dropped, but as a player, mentally, got a lot better. Defensive-wise, got a lot better. But mentally, in terms of playing on the ball, etc., got worse, which is A bit weird, to be honest, but physically done well, mentally done well, and a really top-tier player. And one of the other final guys I want to touch on, Kendry Paez. Let's have a little look at this guy, how he grew throughout the whole entire rebuild. Decent. Again, very strong mentally, decent physically, but nowhere near as good as I thought technically he would grow. Landon was very good. Thiago Martinez is another one to very quickly touch on as well. A really good player, again, mentally, technically, and physically, growing really well. That's been the Chelsea youth only rebuild. We built them to Champions League winners. If you did enjoy, make sure to smack that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you next time.